Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our virtual open house here at Bishop Fenwick. We so wish you could join us on campus, but we're thrilled to have you joining us online. So thank you for being part of our afternoon, which will include a series of panels from students and parents, from faculty and administrators, as well as an awesome new video that we'll share with you. And please feel free to use the chat feature to offer a few questions that you'd like to get answered from our panelists as we go through the day. So as we begin this afternoon, let's just take a moment to slow down, right? To rest for a moment. Our lives are so busy and so hectic. My invitation to you this afternoon is simply to try to listen, right? Listen to the voices of Fenwick and listen to the voice inside your own heart and soul as you discern this next really critical decision. What's going to be the best high school for me, right? And of course, we have an opinion on that here at Bishop Fenwick. So we begin all things at Bishop Fenwick prayerfully, and so we begin our afternoon together in prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And the gospel today is a famous passage where a scholar of the law tests Jesus by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" And Jesus says to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with your whole soul, all your mind, and all your heart, and all your strength. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself." The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments. Lord, may we embrace the simplicity, the integrity, the challenge, and the power of this law, finding the grace to love God and to see God in each other. We ask this each in his and her own way, from all the faiths and the traditions from which we come, and I ask it this afternoon in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, my message this afternoon, very much like Jesus' message, is two parts, and they both begin with B as a little help. Be inspired and belong. Be inspired and belong. And I'm going to introduce you to someone who's got a lot of B's in his name, a BB Bakila, just to keep you focused on the B's. Recently, I've been thinking about long-distance runners. Maybe it's because I'm kind of a runner, or because the virtual Boston Marathon just finished, or because yesterday morning, in our own backyard here, I watched our cross-country teams, along with teams from many other schools who don't have the campus that we have, race yesterday on this gorgeous back 50. Or maybe I'm thinking of long-distance runners because perhaps like you, I feel that life amidst this whole COVID-19 pandemic is something of a marathon. A marathon requiring extraordinary patience and perseverance, stamina and endurance. And most challenging, the coronavirus experience is a marathon that does not seem to have a clear finish line. Well, what do? We keep on running, right? When I was your age, and I'm talking to the students now, I was fascinated by a documentary series on the Olympic Games. I found myself recalling some of the great distance runners recently: Paavo Nurmi, Emil Zarapek, Steve Prefontaine, Saeed Aouda, and Haile Gebrselassie. These names may not mean anything to you, but their stories inspired me. And one of the runners I found in my Google search was BB Bakila. BB Bakila died this day in 1973 at the age of 41, only 4 short years after being paralyzed in an accident. The son of a shepherd, Bakila grew up in Ethiopia. In Rome, 1960, running most of the course barefoot, he won the Olympic gold medal in the marathon. 4 years later in Tokyo, 40 days after having appendicitis, this time with shoes on, he won again. The first African gold medalist, the first to win back-to-back Olympic marathon gold medals, and both were world records. People of success meet with tragedy, he said. It was the will of God that I won the Olympics, and it was the will of God that I met with my accident. I accepted those victories as I accept this tragedy. I accept both as facts of life and choose to live happily. BB Bakila inspired me. What inspires you? If I want you to be anything at Bishop Fenwick, it is to be inspired. You will be inspired this afternoon. You will be inspired at Fenwick, inspired to meet new friends, consider new ideas, try new activities, explore new passions, inspired to be freely and fully who you are, inspired to dare and to dream beyond even your imagination, inspired to be your best self, the person God calls you to be. So be hopeful, be positive, get excited, and go big. God is calling you. So be inspired and belong. Belong. We all need to belong, indeed. Our most fundamental human need is to be loved and accepted. You likely have experienced that sense of belonging where you are now in your own school community with your classmates and teammates. We all experience the need to fit in and to have friends. Now, some will tell you that that's only something in middle school or only something that exists in high school, and they're lying. We all need to belong, to be accepted by our peers, to be loved by our friends at any age. We also have a profound and powerful fear of the opposite, don't we? Of being lonely or of getting lost. At a time when connection is so difficult because of social distancing, masks, quarantines, and all the rest, being in a community where you will be connected, being in a school where you will be welcomed is all the more critical. At Fenwick, you will belong. You will be seen and known, valued and respected for who you are, because you'll be part of our Fenwick family. So we invite you to consider joining that family this afternoon. And without further ado, we're going to head upstairs to our administrator panel. Thank you for being with us, and I'll be in touch soon.
I'm Steve Driscoll. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Bishop Fenwick. So we have a whole bunch of administrators here that work at Bishop Fenwick that have been here and help guide what our school focus, career, and culture is like here. So without further ado, I want to introduce down at the opposite end of the table from me, our Athletic Director, Dave Woods.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bishop Fenwick. Again, we wish we could have you here in person on campus, but this is the best we can do right now. So again, welcome. As Coach Driscoll said, my name is Dave Woods. I'm the athletic director. I'm also the head football coach. And I came to Bishop Fenwick in 1996. And right away I could tell Bishop Fenwick was a special place. And I've been here ever since, and that feeling has never changed. I've had 3 kids that have gone through here. I have 2 daughters that have graduated, and I have a son who's here now as a junior, and they've had tremendous experience at the place. We are, as Mr. Noonan mentioned earlier about our cross-country course out back, we hosted some events over the weekend, and I wish you could see the campus. We are very proud of our campus and very fortunate to have what we have here. Our cross-country course runs right along the ocean and through most of our back fields. We have 2 baseball fields, 2 softball fields, 2 grass soccer fields, and then, of course, we have our main turf field with lights and an 8-lane track, one of the few 8-lane tracks around. We've hosted state tournaments here before, so we are very fortunate to have unbelievable facilities here for athletics. But none of that would really mean anything if we didn't have the coaches and the players that we have here. The coaching staffs that we have here are awesome. We have a lot of coaches that also teach here in the building. And a lot of them are also graduates of the school. So to me, that says a lot really about what the school is all about, and that people have a great connection here and they want to stay connected. So if anybody has any questions about specific athletics, I'm here all the time, and I know Coach Driscoll will give emails out, and you can go online and find emails. But again, welcome, and hopefully we see you on campus soon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Dave Dugan. I am the Dean of Student Life here, newly appointed Dean of Student Life. I joked the first time we did this that I felt like I've never really left here. I graduated here in 1990, had the opportunity in 1992 to come back and start my coaching career, and I've just ended up staying here because the place means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. It means a lot to the Dugan household. I'm also a parent. I'm very fortunate that, my daughter had the opportunity to graduate from here last year, where she had 4 successful years in the drama and arts program. And my son is an 8th grader at St. John's School in Peabody, and he will be attending here as a freshman next year. As the Dean of Student Life, it's my job and Mr. Chris Caniff, who's the Assistant Dean of Life, to make sure that we provide you guys, especially as incoming freshmen, with as many opportunities as we humanly possibly can. Whether that's sports activities through Coach Woods in the athletic department, whether that's the drama department and putting on plays, which we are on schedule to put on 2 separate plays this fall, probably I think the end of November, beginning in December. We have a multitude of clubs for you to get involved in. We have the art club, we have the Spanish club, we have the creative writing club. We have opportunities like peer leadership, best buddies, which many of our kids are involved in. We have a lot of things for you to get involved with. So as we kind of go through the day, I think you'll hear about a lot of the opportunities you get here. But when you come here, take advantage of them. And myself and Mr. Caniff and the people that are on this panel, we are here to help you and guide you throughout your 4 years at Bishop Fenwick.
Hello, I'm Cecilia Marquez. I'm principal here. It's my 2nd year at Fenwick, and hopefully by the end of this afternoon, you'll see why I love Fenwick and why I call Fenwick home. And I think it's the ideal place for you to call home, second home. I'm originally from Argentina. I have 35 years of experience in education in the US. I studied in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, getting a master's in applied linguistics and methodology. Then I pursued doctoral studies, got an EDM at Columbia University in New York, taught at the college level, at the high school level. But it's here at Fenwick where I find the perfect balance between academic rigor, spiritual life, athletics, what we define the unity of mind, body, and soul. We want our students to know the good, to love the good, to do the good. And that happens at any stage, be it at the soccer field, be it during a play, the theater program, or in the classroom. It happens all the time that we have this unity of life. We have a remarkable faculty. 78% of our faculty hold a graduate degree, which make them content experts. But at the same time, they want to meet the students where they are, help them thrive, find their full potential, and become their unique and very best self. We view every student as a masterpiece created by God, and we want each of our students to become their best self. And that's why from the schedule to addressing their passions to having each of them thrive creates a compelling story, not just during high school, but by the time they apply to college and beyond. So our promise to you is that Fenwick difference, where we want wisdom and virtue, because we want our students to live wisely, think deeply, contribute generously, and lead thoughtfully. So that is our promise to you, and that's why I love Fenwick. I love our faculty, and I hope that you come to the same conclusion that I come. Thank you for being here with us, even though virtually. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Bill McMurray. I am the Director of College Counseling and Guidance. Currently in the middle of my 2nd month here at Fenwick, so this is my first opportunity to speak to prospective families, and I'm really pleased to be able to do that. Just a little bit about me. I have an undergraduate degree in English and psychology. Somehow along the way in that liberal arts college, I got fascinated with the institution of higher ed. And it was really during my master's program when I had an opportunity to do a fellowship in the undergraduate admissions office that I began to develop my, what is now really an abiding love of working with teenagers on their future plans. I think the opportunity to come to Fenwick this year really represents for me the chance to leverage my nearly 40 years of experience in the school to college transition process in a school that already has a very well-established tradition of preparing young people for meaningful and successful lives. I have the privilege of leading a tremendous team in the guidance and counseling office, and I think what I bring to the table specific skills revolve around the fact that I've spent so much time in colleges and universities and really have a sense of what those institutions are looking for and how, and I believe I can help our students manage the process of planning their future more successfully, perhaps as a result. I think sometimes students and families can develop maybe media-based logic around things that don't necessarily play out in reality in the college search process. I can share an example. I met with a student the other day briefly who was thinking about changing a course. And her thinking was that, of course, an engineering school would like to see an additional math course in lieu of fourth-year language. And I was able to tell her quite specifically from experience that even engineering schools love to see fourth-year foreign language, and that her balanced course load might serve her better in the long run. In the end, we support students' decisions, but we want to make sure they have all the information at hand. We certainly work with parents. The one-on-one interactions are key, but we also know the teachers very well, and we really have an ability to help students strike that balance between challenging themselves and the support they need to navigate those waters. So I look forward to any questions you have, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. So I have a few questions for our panel. Coach Woods, you had spoken about, the athletic atmosphere here. Is there any chance that you could kind of give a little bit of guidance and knowledge to any potential 8th graders and prospective students and families about what kind of the experience is like for freshman year and joining potentially a new team that they've never been a part of, or a new community that they've never been a part of with athletics?
Sure. So I say it all the time that a lot of the freshmen that come in will pick up a sport or play something they've never played before. Typically, half of our freshman football team, they've never played football before. So it's a great opportunity for them. I mentioned my kids before. I know my daughter came in. My oldest daughter was not really an athlete, and she played freshman field hockey. And that was the only sport she played while she was here. She was really more into student government, but she absolutely loved the freshman field hockey team. She had a great experience with it, and some of her closest friends are still the girls she played freshman field hockey with. So I think as an 8th grader making the transition to high school, as a freshman, my advice would be get involved. Whether it's something you've done before or haven't done before, choose. If it's a sport, great. I know we've had hockey kids that have been in the play, we've had football kids that have been in the band. So the opportunity to do things and get involved, I think, are huge, and they're endless here, really. One of the big advantages, too, of getting involved in athletics in the fall, the athletic season starts about 2 weeks before the school year starts. So you're here on campus for 2 weeks. You'll create friendships that'll last forever. In those 2 weeks, they'll start. So the first day of school, you actually already have friendships. You have 30 people that you know and familiar with. So I think it's a great way to transition into the high school, to get involved in a sport in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Dugan, Coach Woods kind of gave a glimpse into what his daughter was involved in student government, and then before you had spoken about some of our clubs and extracurricular activities. I know from working here and coaching here that the Student Activity Council is a very big and a lot of students are involved in that. Can you kind of give a bit of an overview about, the clubs that we have and what Student Activities Council does here at Bishop Fenwick?
Sure. A lot of Student Activities Council is run through Mr. Caniff, and Mr. Caniff and I work hard to try to provide opportunities. A lot of it revolves around, what we could do last year, school dances, our Spirit Week, but obviously this year we've had to kind of change course. So to give a brief example, we've offered 2 movie nights the past 2 Fridays here, which were big successes. Last Friday night, our juniors and our seniors came in, and the past Friday night, our freshmen and our sophomores came in. And, we tried to make it more of a social gathering for them, and I think it went off very well. The kids came here. They had a little trivia game before where they won a gift card for coming into first, second, or third place. Last Friday night, I was able to win the Chipotle gift card, which was very good for me. And then the students got the opportunity to pick 1 out of 5 movies. And, Mr. Caniff and I really tried to take an active role in just trying to do as many things as we can under the COVID guidelines to make the transition, especially for our freshmen, easier and smoother coming in here. And I think it's worked on many levels. This year, our freshman class has had more people go out for student government than I think we've had in the last 10 years with a class president. We also have 2 class vice presidents, depending on which group is in for the day under our cohort system in terms of COVID guidelines. So we actually have 2 vice presidents this year. And to kind of piggyback on what Coach Woods was talking about in terms of getting involved, for you in 8th graders that are coming in, I would highly recommend our All Aboard program in the summer. It's a 2-week program where you come in and we kind of simulate like a day might go at Bishop Fenwick. You get to meet all of your classmates that are coming here, and you get to kind of work through a lot of the summer assignments that we're doing in terms of the community reads that we do. And it's just a great way to come in and meet a whole bunch of people that you can come back into in the fall and say, hey, I've already met all of my class. And it just makes it a lot more comforting when you start here in September. So hopefully that's something that you look into as you decide your way to come to Bishop Fenwick.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dugan. Ms. Marquez, in your introduction, you spoke about the wealth of knowledge that you came from and the background that you have. Coming into Bishop Fenwick, how can you describe what our culture of academics is, but our culture as a school and how they mesh together?
Yes. I love how we balance rigor and knowing the students by meeting the students where they are, getting their background knowledge, and having them stretch outside their comfort zone so they keep thriving and reaching their full potential. How we do that is, first we start with an amazing group of faculty who are content experts, but at the same time, lifelong learners about how to share the knowledge they have. The arts of teaching and learning go together. So for example, on October 2nd, we had a workshop led by a group from a professor from Harvard and Taft, Lynn Meltzer, on executive function processes and how the brain processes information, filters, prioritizes, and how the teachers can use that information to be better teachers for the in-person and the remote hybrid model that we have, and how to be very purposeful about that. So when you combine a great curriculum with great teachers who love their students, you develop a culture of trust and care that meets the students where they are and helps them thrive and reach their full potential, using also a special methodology led by essential questions, which makes relevant what we are teaching, but at the same time teaching the content, the skills. And all of this is framed with a growth mindset. We want our students to understand how their success is not based on their talent. Their success is based on their effort, learning from their mistakes, accepting feedback from their peers and their teachers, and only then will they have the success they want. And that happens everywhere, from the fields to the theater, any leadership that happens in the school. So that's why we have that unity of vision about who the human person is and who the human person can become as a daughter and a son of God. So it's an amazing experience once you're here. So I hope that we tempt you to come visit us virtually this year, but I invite you to follow up with me if you have any questions as well.
Great. Ms. McMurray, you had spoken about the college guidance part of our guidance department. Can you expand a little bit about how our guidance department uses the college placement style, but also the holistic style to help each individual student go through being a high school student in general?
First of all, I would friendly correct the word placement. We work on a college counseling model in that we do not place our students, they place themselves with our help. We really do have a curriculum, we consider it a lifespan college guidance relationship that really starts with, as Mr. Dugan said, the All Aboard program in the summer for new students, the chance to bond and get to know the environment, to begin that process of transition to a different kind of learning than you have in middle school that's more self-directed. The benefit you have here at Fenwick, unlike some schools, is that you will have the same guidance counselor for all 4 years who will help you through these early transitions, help you with course selections as you move through the program, and then help you with the mechanics of the college application process and looking at the colleges that make the most sense for you given your particular abilities, interests, family financial circumstances, all the things that become variables in the college search process. Picking up on what Ms. Marquez said, however, you don't come to Fenwick to get an education. You come to Fenwick to claim one. And if you are a student and a family who believe that this is a good venue and you're willing to put forth a reasonable effort, there really are no limitations to what we're going to be able to help you achieve in terms of your planning for post-secondary education and your enjoyment and thriving in the high school program as well.
Great. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Marquez to head down to our faculty panel. As she's heading down there, I just want to talk a little bit about the admissions process here at Bishop Fenwick. Our application is right online on fenwick.org, so I really hope anybody checks out our website and the admissions page specifically. The application is right on there. Our application deadline is December 31st this year, so it's the end of the year of 2020, which I think we might be all looking forward to, the end of 2020. But we are also hosting a live in-person high school placement test, which you can register at on fenwick.org on that admissions page. We highly recommend that anybody applying to Bishop Fenwick registers for the high school placement test. That's part of the application process here at Bishop Fenwick. We really want to make sure that we place every student accurately, so that's why we use that high school placement test. Here at Bishop Fenwick, we have a 13-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio that allows us in the admissions process to involve all of our teachers in that, to review applications so that we help place you in those accurate classes. So that's why we use our teachers, the high school placement test, transcripts, and recommendations in that application process. So I urge all of you to log on to fenwick.org and start your application today. It's a very simple application. We need some basic information, but we really look forward to reading about each individual student and what you want from your high school, because we want to be able to give that for you. So, without any further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our faculty panel and Ms. Marquez.
Hello, everyone. We are now with our faculty panel, and you'll see why I'm so proud of our faculty, how much they love their students, how passionate they are about the content they teach, and why they care about the excellence that each of our students should reach within their classroom's walls. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, see what other roles they play here at Fenwick, and why we call the Fenwick family the Fenwick family. Mr. Burke.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Eric Burke. I feel back at home here on the North Shore because I went to art college on the North Shore, Montserrat College of Art. I am the head of the Fine Arts Department. Our Fine Arts Department consists of our Fenwick Band, our choir, and our theater department, and our visual arts department. We have a great facility. We offer so many different courses. We have students who are just coming in as freshmen who are just learning with Intro to Art. And we have students who are taking Advanced Art 1 and 2, or some of them are applying to art college. So we have a wide spectrum of students. We have a lot of talented students that play in the Fenwick Band, that are in our, we have two shows coming up very soon. And so we have something for everyone in the Fine Arts Department.
Hi, I'm Kelly O'Day. I'm representing the Math Department this afternoon. So this is my third year at Fenwick. I got my bachelor's in math at Merrimack College over in North Andover, and I'm currently going to night school to get my master's at Salem State. So when I'm not in the classroom and I'm not getting in my own classroom in the student section, from the student point of view, I am typically involved in the theater program as the producer, as well as right now I am the sophomore class moderator, one of two, which is really fun. We had a movie night on Friday. The kids chose High School Musical. We also had trivia, which I won, and I will be bragging about that for months to come. But as a representative for the math department, I really want to focus on what is really at the soul of all of our math classes, which is problem solving and becoming creative problem solvers. I will admit, solving for X or maybe using a formula might not be in their career path, although I would love it if they all became engineers and mathematicians. But when they do end up going to work and they have their first boss who's going to pose a question to them, it's very unlikely their boss will tell them exactly what steps to use and what formula to use to get the answer. So we're really trying to focus on having them develop into complex problem solvers, confident learners, and when they come up to something new, we don't want them to get discouraged. We want to train them to think of that as an opportunity.
My name is Rick Wormwood. I'm representing the English department. I'm in my 6th year here at Bishop Fenwick. I have a degree in journalism and English from the University of Memphis and a master's degree in writing from Columbia University. And I know that I can confidently say that the entire English department, all of them really amazing individuals, take very seriously preparing your children, our students, to find success here and also at college and beyond. Brother Tom, the previous principal, asked me to, because when I came here, I'd been a professor for 10 years before the little college I was at went under, unfortunately. And Brother Tom told me that he wanted me to, as close as I possibly could, to try to recreate the process of the early college English courses, freshman comp, so that our students would feel absolutely comfortable when they got to college. And by and large, we have absolutely found success doing that. I hear from students all the time, former students, and it's very gratifying, and we will do the same with your children if you decide to have them come and spend some time with us. I guarantee, there aren't many guarantees in life, but I guarantee that, and I know everyone else sitting here with me would give you a similar guarantee from their own department. I don't want to speak for them. But your child will improve in writing, and they will come to understand literature, and they will be ready. At the end of the day, that's the main thing. They'll be ready. We'll make them ready.
Hi, I'm Chris Caniff. I am the Assistant Dean of Student Life, and I am also the chairman of our theology department. This is my 6th year here at Fenwick, and before coming here, I had earned my bachelor's and master's degrees, both from Boston College in classical languages and literatures, as well as theology. As the Assistant Dean of Student Life, one of the things that I work on is our Student Activities Council, which we call SAC, and that's our elected student government. As Mr. Dugan mentioned in the previous panel, we have done a lot this year, and the students have done a lot this year, to try to provide opportunities for the kids to be involved with as many things as we can. Obviously, the circumstances limit us somewhat, but we've seen a great response from students at all levels, trying to remain committed and engaged and participatory in everything that we can to have a full Fenwick experience. From the perspective of the theology department, theology is required for all 4 years. In the 9th grade, we do an introduction to Catholicism. In the 10th grade, we cover scripture. Junior year, we do Catholic morality as well as Catholic social teaching. And then senior year, we have a very eclectic capstone course. In the first semester, we study different genocides as a way of looking at the reality of evil in the world, but more importantly, how to respond to that, how to find a pathway towards hope and towards reconciliation and towards peace. And then in the second semester, senior year, we do a course in spiritual memoir. And so that as students are preparing to leave us and to lead lives of their own, to take a little bit of time to reflect critically and reflect with one another about what it means to live a good life and how to make sense of the lives they have lived to this point and how they will then go on to live life in the future. We are very attentive with our 9th graders to the fact that you all come from very different backgrounds, academically as well as religiously. Academically, we have students coming from many years of Catholic schooling. We have students coming from private schools of other kinds. We have students from public schools. We have students from charter schools. And so whether or not theology class has been a part of your normal routine, we make sure that we have everyone feeling comfortable in there. If it's a course you know well and have taken before, we'll bring you to new levels with it and new depth. And if it's a course that's new to you, then it's something that we make sure you get a solid, steady foundation in as you move forward. And then one other thing I want to mention is our Strong Campus Ministry program. It complements very nicely the academic work we do in theology and gives students the opportunity to bring that to bear in their community, here and outside.
My name is Julia Valonis. I am the chairperson of the science department, and I have been at Bishop Fenwick since 1982. I do love what I do, and I do have my bachelor's and my master's degree. And one of the one of the points of the science department curriculum is that we try to instill logical, confident, and independent thinkers by the time they finish. All of our freshmen coming in take biology. They have had many different science areas and backgrounds before they came here, so we try to find a common point. If they've done some of the work before, we try to encourage them to help other students who the material is new to. If not, we try to make it a little bit more challenging for those that have the material, that have had some of the material before. We have AP classes for our upperclassmen, so we have quite a range of courses. Many of our students that really like science go on to college and study different types of sciences. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenna Timpson, and I'm actually a graduate of Bishop Fenwick. I graduated in 2002. My husband is also a graduate of Bishop Fenwick. He graduated in 1999. We did not meet here. We knew of each other, but we met later on when we both, I was coaching here for about 10 years before we had kids, and my husband coached here as well, and now he coaches over in Danvers. So that Fenwick family really does mean something to me. I've been in your shoes where I had to decide where I wanted to go to school. So I know how difficult it can be, but hopefully you guys choose Fenwick if it's the right place for you. After I graduated here, I went to play soccer at Brandeis, and then I finished my career, my soccer career there, but I went to Merrimack College. I lived in Spain for a while and went to the Universidad de Salamanca in Spain, in España, and I'm clearly part of the World Language Department. So I am representing the World Language Department here. I went through it as a student, I studied it, I lived there, and I'm back here and I do it. I've been doing it here for 13 years. I love it, it's so much fun. It's really, I don't consider it a job. I come to school every day is what I say to my 2 children at home. I'm not going to work, I'm going to school. So that kind of helps. So that's a little bit about us.
Thank you very much. Here at Fenwick, we say that we balance tradition and innovation. We want in every class the students to know how to think, how to observe, how to ask good questions, how to learn from different perspectives. But also we want them to have fun. So can you tell us examples of your classrooms where you have essential questions that are very engaging for the students, how you balance engagement, rigor, and fun, and making it relevant. So, and how you balance tradition and innovation, okay? So why don't we begin the opposite way this time around? Ms. Timpson.
Sure. As a language teacher, I think that one of the most important things to teach, especially in the first year of language, is how you learn best, how to identify what kind of learner you are. Sometimes it's really scary to speak another language. Sometimes students, even in their first language, don't want to be the first one to have their hands up. So an essential question that I always have in the back of my head as a teacher is, what kind of learner am I? How do I learn the best? It's a little different take on things, but I think when you identify your positives and your negatives, it's a lot easier to accentuate those and figure out how can I learn best. So, for example, in my class, if someone doesn't want to really speak, I want to figure out, what can I do to get them involved? They don't have to love the language, but what can I do to get them involved and learn about it and learn about different cultures and not, even though I love focusing on the speaking aspect, maybe they're better at writing, maybe they're a great artist, so I'll talk with the art department, what can I do? So maybe they'll create some sort of story with a picture in the background, or a lot of kids this year have been doing videos based on what's been going on, and some of the videos aren't just themselves, but it's them creatively, I don't even know how they do it, but coming up with some sort of project that helps them feel confident that they're learning something, and also, doing whatever it is that I'm asked, that I ask of them. So with that said, I think it's, for me, trying to figure out the best way that I can teach them and the best way that they can learn.
Thank you.
As far as science goes, we try to make everyday life relevant. We want the students to be good consumers when they graduate, so we always try to bring in to the classroom what's going on in the world today. As of course we all know, COVID is especially important today, so we bring in as many examples, what's going on in the world, how it's being treated, how the vaccine is coming along. So we just try to bring in as much relevant information to the classroom, and hopefully we can get the interest of some students that they might not really be so excited about biology or chemistry, but if we can bring something relevant in and knowing that it could be personal to many of them, that's where we are in the science department.
In theology, I often try to remind students that there is a great definition for theology that comes from St. Anselm. He described it as faith-seeking understanding. And so one of the essential questions in our department is, what is the relationship between faith and reason? You know, students come to us 14 years old, and some of them still have a second-grade understanding of the faith. They were prepared for their first communion and didn't learn too much beyond that. And so as they get these bigger questions, we have bigger answers, and we want to give them the chance to explore those. So one assignment that comes to mind, in the 9th grade course, we often read a book, and it focuses on the events of November 22nd, 1963. On that day, President Kennedy was assassinated, but 2 other great figures died as well. C.S. Lewis, the famous Christian writer, and then also Aldous Huxley, a British novelist. These 3 men believed very different things about questions of the afterlife and questions of ultimate meaning. And so the author of this book imagines that those 3 men met each other that day somewhere beyond death, and that they have a conversation about where exactly they are and what exactly is true about where we're all headed. Once we've finished reading that book, the students get a chance to write their own dialogue papers. They create a Christian character and an atheist character and have to write from the perspective of each. It gives students a great opportunity to get into the mind of different people, to think about providing reasons for the things they believe in, and then also to learn a model for respectful engagement and dialogue that really is productive and that is helpful and that leads to not only better understanding of another person, but better understanding of what's true.
Thank you.
I think that when I reflect on the essential questions and how we sort of digest those in the English department, the thing that comes immediately to mind and maybe most forcefully to mind is, again, to use a word that Mr. Caniff just used, relevance. Why are we still reading something like the Iliad? Why are we still reading Sir Gawain and the Green Knight? It can be a tough sell to these guys. But at the end of the day, there are things to be taken from it. Like Agamemnon is a terrible leader of the Greeks, and there's something to be learned from that if you plan to be a leader in your own life, which is what we're trying to bring to all these students, the ability to not just be a leader, but to picture themselves as that leader. So what can we take away from the mistakes that Agamemnon makes? What can we take away from the mistakes that Achilles makes? What can we learn from Sir Gawain trying to hold on to his virtue in a world that is 100% determined to break him and take that from him? And this is all aside from the constant, in my class, and I know in the rest of the department too, like how do we write a better sentence? How do we write a better paragraph? All these things work together, and it makes it relevant and it makes it resonate within all of our students, I dare say.
So currently this year, I teach all levels, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So there's a wide range of concepts and projects that we work on, but I'd actually like to focus on something that I do with All Aboard. All Aboard is our summer program for incoming freshmen. It's a really unique program. It really lets them meet their new peers, their teachers. So I taught the math portion of that this summer, and I taught a lesson, and we did a project called How to Lie with Statistics. And although I don't want them to be a skeptic for life, it was about how when you are given numbers, you're given a chart, a graph, to always take a step back. What are they trying to convince you of? Where was the data gathered? What are the biases? What biases? Thank you. English teacher. So what are the biases when you are taking a poll, especially now, and it is so relevant at this time. Everyone is always trying to convince you of something, and I want them to be able to become the most educated consumer of statistics and new knowledge that's being given to them, whether or not it's the news, whether or not it's an advertisement. So beyond solving for X, which I still love to do, I want them to be ready for whenever they go out into the world and just, I don't know, I just want them to be ready.
Thank you.
I love teaching art because, you know, once the students get set up, whether it be their paints or their clay, or they get set up and they start working, and then the conversations start. And then, you know, some of the bigger questions start to come up, like what are you going to do? If you're a senior, questions come up because they're all kind of in the same boat. You know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do next year? What am I going to do, for a career? How, you know, and I get to check on like how are they doing? So art is a great platform for that. I said before that, you know, our band students, Mr. Cox is really good at letting our band students, you know, play sports or be in extracurricular activities. Dr. Tropiano is really looking forward to bringing students back to Carnegie Hall in New York City. You know, and like I said, Miss West has a project where they have old black and white photos that they revamp and they add color and they, you know, they bring them back to life. So we really, you know, obviously we are teaching them art or music or theater or, you know, or band. But we also are taking care of the whole student. We're, you know, we're checking on them and seeing how they're doing and helping them towards their futures through art.
Thank you. So hopefully you can imagine yourself in these classrooms, learning about different perspectives, different cultures, how to be a problem solver using the scientific method, getting the data that you need, balancing faith and reason, writing persuasive essays, skills that you need, problem solving patterns, skills you need for life, and having fun, and at the same time, developing intellectually, socially, and spiritually. Thank you. Mr. Noonan.
Well, thank you. Thank you to our faculty who you've heard from and to our administrators who you heard from just before this. And now it's time to hear from our students. So this is a virtual tour of Bishop Fenwick, along with a number of student voices, followed by a student panel. We hope you enjoy it. Here's the video. Well, greetings and welcome. My name is Tom Noonan. I'm president of Bishop Fenwick, and I'm so excited to show you our campus. In fact, I'm even more excited to share with you our community. We want to give you a real sense of the Fenwick experience, an authentic feel for the Fenwick family, a family we hope you're going to join. So as you see our spaces and listen to our students on this tour, the only kind of tour we can offer you right now, I invite you to envision your high school experience. I invite you to see it not about surviving, but about thriving. Be positive, be hopeful. Come join that kind of positive, hopeful spirit here at Fenwick. You know, I asked our seniors the other day, what would you wish for the parents of our incoming 9th graders? And one of our seniors wrote this: I hope your sons and daughters find their place. That's exactly what we hope for each and every one of you. So check out our place, and we hope it's soon going to become your place.
When you say Fenwick family, I think of the tight-knit community that we have, and how it's everyone's there for each other. You feel like you're at home.
When I think of Fenwick family, the first thing that I think about is the sports teams. We're all together, we're all working for a common goal. We're all in this together and we're all there for each other.
If I'm at the grocery store or something and I'd see a teacher, I'd still say hi and be so excited to see them.
I felt welcome right off the bat. All the upperclassmen treated us like their friends.
Even when I shadowed, the kids that my shadow sat with immediately welcomed me in to sit with them.
My shadow I had, she has become my best friend she just graduated for the last 3 years. Me and her have gotten really close, and now I can call her one of my best friends.
I think of all the amazing people that I met and all my friends that I'll have for the rest of my life.
I definitely think I'm very prepared for college, especially with my writing. My writing has grown so much throughout the last 3 years, and I think it can only get better.
I have a lot of friends who went to Fenwick who are doing well in college, and they said Fenwick really helped them.
I've gotten to do a lot of college programs. I've gotten to see a lot of different college options for me because I decided to come here, and that makes my mom really happy because it's not only was it a really good high school, but it's also preparing me for my future.
Freshman year biology, without a doubt, was the hardest class that I've taken in this school.
I didn't take a history my freshman year. So to go from taking no history to jump into an AP course was pretty difficult. But my upperclassmen friends that had taken the course before really helped me because they would give me tips and pointers on things that I should do and things that I shouldn't do.
Last year with Miss Homum, we read The Scarlet Letter, and I found the themes in that book really interesting.
What was one theme?
Finding hope in darkness.
The teachers legitimately care that you're doing well. They really want you to succeed and they want to help. In any single way they can, they will help.
She's there for extra help every single day, so you just tell her that you're going to stay and she'll stay with you no matter how long you need it.
Coach Dugan, if he needed any help, come to him, and then it was one day I went to him after school and he helped me with a big project that I had to do. So he's a mentor to me.
The teachers are kind.
They're smart.
Dedicated.
Helpful. Understanding. Committed.
Driven.
Passionate. Intelligent.
And interactive.
I really built a relationship with Miss Timpson, my Spanish teacher from last year.
He comes up with these really creative ways to teach, and one of the things he did this year, he called it speed dating, where we were all dressed up as kings and queens from England and stuff like that, and we all had to sit at tables across from one another, and we had to just talk as if we were that person. So I think that was really a creative way to kind of look at the subject.
Miss Foley had us do a project that we had to do something kind for someone out in the world. We had to write a paragraph about it. So my family actually does adaptive lacrosse program. My mom runs it, so I volunteered there for a couple of weeks.
My theology teacher, Mr. Caniff, was great the whole entire year. There were some people that had never taken theology before, and he really went back to basics and helped them understand.
Madonna Roman, she took me under her wing and she really got me involved in the school.
I just love the fact that around Fenwick, there's just always an art in every corner.
Art is an abstract idea and you can create your own.
And I really liked it because the teacher was very passionate, everyone else really liked it, and everyone was supportive.
I remember painting a picture, and it was a whole new technique that the teacher had taught us, and I was not picking it up very well, and I was a freshman, and I didn't have a lot of friends in my art class, and this girl who was sitting next to me was an amazing artist, and she still is. She's won so many awards through Fenwick about art. It's just incredible. And she taught me how to correctly do the technique, and we became very close friends, and we're still close friends now. So art really helped me connect to people and create relationships as a freshman.
When I got to high school, I was I'm not going to join the theater. But now I've been in it. This is my senior year. I'll definitely be in the theater again, so that's 4 years. It's worth it. Everybody loves each other. We support each other no matter what. If you do something bad on stage, they're not going to make fun of you when you get back. They're going to tell you it's okay, just keep going.
This past year I was in Freaky Friday, and I was the gym teacher, which was a really big role for me because it was my first solo. The director, Dr. Tropiano, she works with us so much to get it to perfection, and it just turned out amazing. Being involved in the Fenwick athletics, it kind of makes you feel, involved in the community, and you're one with the community.
I feel like it means something more to play for your school, because it's not you're not just playing for you or your team, you're playing for the entire school community.
So I represent the teachers, the faculty, the students, and the building as a whole in the name, so it's really important to me.
Even though I may have my last name on the back of my jersey, the name on the front of the jersey is way more important than the one on the back.
A lesson that I've learned while playing hockey is that hard work is the key to success in everything in life. If you put in the work, you will be rewarded with the results.
My favorite memory in the gym would be one of the playoff games. There was still so much energy, and the vibe that was given off was incredible. Before all the games, I'll come out and sing the national anthem, and I think looking out and seeing all the people here that come to watch the games and how the student body comes together shows you how the community here at Fenwick is just something that doesn't really compare to anywhere else.
Well, last season for football, we actually made it to the Super Bowl at Gillette Stadium, and it was pretty surreal being just on the stadium, like where Tom Brady plays and the iconic Patriots.
For track, Miss Holman was like my main coach for the hurdles. She really like pushed me because like sometimes at practice, like I never was interested in hurdles before. And she told me, she's like, just give it a try. Like, and then at practice, if I got frustrated, she'd always be there to be like, no, like keep going, you got it. And she really just believed in like everyone that played for her.
Yeah, so my track coach, Coach Nardone, he always believes in me, even if I don't believe in myself.
So my freshman year, we had a tough run to the playoffs, but we ended up doing it, and we were all together. And I remember sitting there on the way to the first game in the bus as a team, you know, getting ready for the game, and we were like, yeah, we did this, you know, we worked hard for this, and it was really like a sense of like, we're all in this together.
So it's like, you honestly really do have to work together as a team, and like you all win together, you all lose together.
I think the best kept secret is that all the land we have back there and how like beautiful it is. Like all the baseball fields and even a brand new football field, like it's a lot nicer than people think, and pictures don't do it justice. Sometimes you just have to see it in person.
If you go up there, especially at sunset, it's a great view, Crusader Hill. We're all tired, but once we greet each other, you know, we get good energy, and then we walk in the locker room and we're ready to go. But then especially after school, a lot of our practices are out by the fields in the back, and so when we go to the trainer in the Leduc Center and then we're walking back, we see all of our friends, which is nice before we go to practice. And then also on our way back, all of the practices are ending, so we all see each other right in the parking lot.
Even after I come back from practice and it's sun's down, there's still plenty of people here. Teachers still willing to help, do your homework. There's at least some people always in the school.
My favorite place is probably the parking lot, which sounds weird. I always used to go to my friend's car before school, and we used to have like bagels and just hang out before the school day started.
Well, I think like as a freshman, I wasn't really used to like hanging around the building after school. So as a freshman, I would always get picked up right away. But like throughout the year, I kind of realized that all the teachers hang around like a lot longer than I thought. So if you ever need like extra help and you don't want to come before school, I think like going after school was something that I found that helped me a lot.
My favorite theology class had to be sophomore year. I had Father Benetti, and I loved his class because people, like especially like teenagers, were like, well, why are we learning this? Why do I have to do this? And I love that he would connect everything back to how it would help us in the real world. And one topic that really stuck with me was the infinite desire. And basically all that is that like humans will never genuinely be fulfilled by any materialistic thing, and that like a person will only genuinely fully be at their most happiest when they have like a connection to God in their life.
I was nervous about theology this year, like coming from public school and never taking it before, but it ended up being one of my favorite classes. It really was nothing to worry about.
Miss Hart, she's an English teacher. She's always just so happy, and she always like told me like if something's tough, just pray and get through it, and bring a happier time.
When we all pray together as a school, as a community, in the morning, like when we say the prayer.
The all-school message, it resets the week and the month almost, because it kind of like settles you down and you get to sit in mass and listen and like kind of be at peace for a little bit during the day.
When I was very sick, Fenwick held a mass for me, a prayer service. And this room, the sacred space, was filled with people and teachers and students and faculty members. And even though I wasn't there physically, I was there spiritually, and it was before my major surgery, and that made me feel a lot more comfortable and put my mind at ease before going into surgery.
It just shows how strong of a community we are at Fenwick and how faith is so important to all of us.
Fenwick is full of so many different types of people, and you're bound to find somebody who is very similar to you, but at the same time challenges you and makes you a better person.
Try to be outgoing, branch out a little bit, try new things, and don't be afraid to like mess up, because everyone's in the same boat and they're trying something new. So just try to be yourself, and that's like the biggest advice I can give.
Find your place
at Fenwick.
Find your place at Fenwick.
Find your place
at Fenwick.
Find your place at Fenwick.
Find your place at Fenwick.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Again, this is Mr. Dugan. I'm the Dean of Student Life. I'm also the head of the Social Studies Department here at Bishop Fenwick, and I'm also one of the assistant football coaches. And the stars of our show today are our academic panel led by our students. Our students are the reason why we're here every day. Our students are the reason why we as teachers are motivated to come in every day and work with them. So I want to try to give them a perspective to kind of answer your questions, and especially as 8th graders, sometimes you don't always want to hear from adults, but you want to hear from kids as to what their opportunity and their experiences at Fenwick. So we're just going to start going around answering a few questions, and I'm going to start with to have every student, what is your name? What grade are you currently in? What city or town are you from? And what school did you attend before Bishop Fenwick?
My name is Jimmy Espinal. I'm a senior here at Fenwick. I'm from Salem, Mass, and I went to Salem Academy Charter School before Fenwick.
Hi, my name is Lily Brown. I'm also a senior from Salem, and I attended St. Mary of the Annunciation in Danvers.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Estella. I'm a junior at Fenwick. I'm from Salem, and I went to St. John the Baptist School in Peabody.
Hi, I'm Nick Caputo. I grew up in Peabody. I'm currently a junior here, and I went to Higgins Middle School.
Hi, I'm Mia Saparlis. I'm currently a senior here, and I'm from Peabody, and I also attended Higgins Middle School.
Hi, I'm Aiden Dwyer. I'm a senior here at Fenwick. I live in Peabody, Massachusetts, and before Fenwick, I went to Saints Academy in Beverly.
So as we tend to talk about the opportunities that you get here at Fenwick, I just want some of the kids to go around and just tell me what type of extracurricular activities you're involved in, or sports, or anything you do outside of the classrooms here at Fenwick.
I'm part of the football team, and we have been very successful, especially last year when we went to the state championship. I'm also part of the baseball team, which has been very successful the past couple of years, and I'm part of the math team as well.
I've been running cross country and playing tennis since my sophomore year, but some of the activities I do in school are French Club, which I'm fortunately the vice president this year, and I'm also part of our theater program, which we're so fortunate to have our plays in the next month.
So I do cheerleading, gymnastics, and softball. I did varsity cheerleading and varsity gymnastics, and I made JV softball. The sports at Fenwick are really inclusive, and they allow you to try out for sports you've never done before. Like, I had never done cheerleading or softball, and I was fortunate to make both teams.
I do 3 varsity sports here at Fenwick. I play football, which, as Jimmy said, we were very successful competing at the Super Bowl at Gillette. In the winter, I do winter track, and I just started playing winter track, and the coaches here are great. They helped me out, and believe it or not, they led my way to being #1 in the state for weight throwing and a field event indoors. And in the spring, I do baseball, and we had a very good, last year we didn't get to compete because of COVID, but before that, we competed at the North Final, and unfortunately we lost, but all the coaches here are very, very inclusive and keep you on what you have to do.
I'm a part of the girls' varsity soccer team, the girls' varsity lacrosse team, and I'm captains for both sports. And I also do homeroom rep, peer leader, and best buddies. And no matter what extracurricular activity it is, I think Fenwick is very hands-on and really encourages you to take part in any activity that you wish to participate in.
So since freshman year, I've been a part of both the winter, spring track and field teams and then the boys soccer team. And this year, I'm lucky enough to be the captain of the boys soccer team and both the winter and spring track and field teams. And outside of the athletic department, the athletic fields, I'm part of the Best Buddies Club, the Rotary Interact Club, and Campus Ministry, which all give me a better opportunity to be a leader inside and outside of the classroom and work with more people.
All right, so as we kind of see here, you get a good idea that our kids are heavily involved in many different things here, whether it's athletics, whether it's clubs, whether it's drama, whether it's our music program. And I just want them to kind of talk a little bit about now is how do they balance those extracurricular activities with their academic responsibilities. So if they could just kind of give you an idea of how they do that, because everyone is unique and everyone does it a little bit differently. But I think it's good as an incoming 8th grader to kind of understand, how you can learn how to balance those responsibilities as well.
I feel the most important thing is time management. You got to manage your time really good to be a successful student athlete. So like if you have practice right after school, you should go home, do your homework, get stuff done early. Don't wait to do stuff till the last second because you'll be stressing out a lot.
I agree with time management. It's so huge that you get that in order because you want to make sure that you can do everything that Fenwick allows you to do. So like personally, I keep my own agenda book and I have my own calendar. So I'm making sure that like this time I have cross country, this time I have theater. And then I know like from 3 to 6, that's the time I do my homework. But the nice thing about Fenwick as well is that sometimes it might seem like you have a lot of work, but the teachers are very flexible. They help you. If you need an extension, like feel free to ask them. And everybody's just so helpful with your schedule.
So in my schedule, I have a free period every single day, and I think most students have one every day. And then if you miss one day, then you'll most likely have a double the next. And I like to either save my homework for the classes I have after the free so that I'm not too overloaded after school with all the sports and other activities like theater or like choir. And so I really use the freeze to my advantage, and the fact that not every class is every day, it's a rotation. So like I only have Spanish 4 times a week. So on that off day, I use it to focus on my other classes.
And fortunately here at Fenwick, most of our coaches have either been at the building at one time or are currently teaching at Fenwick. So they understand how much time we have to do things and what we do after school. And we're never overloaded with homework. And like Caitlin said, I have a free almost every day, and that's a full class time period to do all the work you have to do to catch up, go see a teacher you have to improve on, go over a test, anything you have to do to advance your grade.
So for me, it's vital to have those outlets. Like after school, you wake up, you have the long day, you go to school, and after school, whether it's, relieving the stress of the classroom, on stage, on the field, on the court, you need to go out there and give it all you have. That's where everyone can come together, have fun. So I do think it's extremely important to participate in all those activities. And I think that, having gaps where, okay, I need to get this done in this amount of time. I'm out of school at 3. I need to go to practice at 6. That's when, you really learn to manage your time.
And along with time management, I think the most important part of being a successful student athlete is being organized. So for me, creating folders, creating schedules is really the best way to make sure that I can be a part of all my activities and athletics, but also be a successful student. And I think that Fenwick, being a college prep school, and they've just done such a great job in helping me create my schedules and being the best person I can be organized in and outside of the classroom.
And lastly for the panel is I think it's important to tell the 8th graders that are out there, what led you to choose Bishop Fenwick. There's a lot of places that are on the North Shore that you can go to and be a part of, but what led you to choose Bishop Fenwick, and how can you help these 8th graders make that same decision?
Most importantly for me, it was athletics, and I knew Fenwick had a great athletic program, and their academics were also very good, so that kind of secured the deal for me. And then lastly, it was when I attended the open house and I shadowed the varsity football quarterback. He kind of really brought me in and made it sort of like a family vibe, and it was great, and that's what made me come here the most.
For me, I loved Fenwick, and it was my only choice because their academics were amazing and their community was amazing. Academic-wise, I loved Fenwick because it was going to be challenging. It wasn't going to be every step of the way easy. And I loved that I could step up for what I wanted to learn in. And you can either do something very hands-on or do something in the book. And then I loved the Fenwick community because you can get involved with literally anything. And I love that I'm able to share my voice within this community, whether it's on the stage, on the field, or just in the classrooms. So I just loved Fenwick community because everybody wants you to be here.
So as I said earlier, I went to St. John the Baptist in Peabody, and they always worked with Fenwick, and we would perform our musicals at Fenwick, and I would also do my dance recitals at Fenwick. So I got that interaction with the students that were currently attending Fenwick, and I got to see what their life was like and how things were run at Fenwick, specifically in the auditorium and the performance aspect of it. But then I got an idea of the homework they had and their experiences. And also my parents went to Fenwick, so I always had that influence of how great they did. And my brother was also attending Fenwick, so that also showed me how good Fenwick was.
So as I said earlier, I'm a Peabody kid. I went to Peabody Public all the way up until 8th grade, and it was different. We had a class of 492 kids, and you didn't know everyone in your class. The teachers had so many students, you didn't have a special relationship with each of their students. And you had 35 plus kids in each class. It was different. And then at Fenwick, for incoming freshmen, they offer a program called Fridays at Fenwick, where you can come shadow and go around and see each of the classes and see the day of a freshman at Fenwick. And that's what really sold me, because I saw the bond that the students had with the teachers and the students had with each other. And it was really, as they say, it's the Fenwick family.
So my experience was actually extremely similar to Nick's. We both attended the Higgins, and as you said, it's a class of almost 500 kids. So you don't really have that relationship with every teacher. You find it once in a while, but here at Fenwick, every single teacher that you have is truly invested in you, and they want the best for you. And I think that was a selling point for me.
So I'm fortunate enough just to live right up the street from Fenwick. So obviously, before attending here, I've just come down to Fenwick plenty of times, just whether it's an on-campus activity, such as like athletics, or just coming down to see one of the musical shows. But also, my sister graduated from here in 2017, and just every day when she came home, she had such a smile on her face after field hockey practice, just how much of a community Fenwick really is. And then, so after, just like Nick said, with the Fridays at Fenwick, after I did my session, I just loved how much everyone knew each other and all the teachers' relationships, and then I just knew that Fenwick was going to be a right fit, and I'm just so glad I made the right choice.
Okay. So as we send you on to the next session here, let us help you find your vision, let us help you find your opportunity, and let us help you be part of Bishop Fenwick. We'll see you all, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the fall.
Thanks.
Well, greetings and welcome back. This is the last of our panels, our parent panel. So important for prospective parents to hear from current parents. And so we're blessed to have 6 of our parents joining us this afternoon. We'll begin with introductions, a little bit about themselves and their relationship to Fenwick, and I'll start all the way down with Mr. Kevin Wood.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Wood, and I'm from Danvers. I am a graduate of Bishop Fenwick High School, class of 1988. I have an older daughter who is in college at Emmanuel, and I have a son here at Fenwick who is a junior.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Scolaro from Linfield, and I have 2 daughters here, Isabella and Natalia, both seniors.
Hello, my name is Chris Carter, and I reside in Danvers. And I have 2 children here at Bishop Fenwick. My daughter, Catherine Carter, is a junior, and my son, Michael, is a freshman, and I'm also an alum of 1992. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Erin Loescher, and I'm the mom of 3 Fenwick students. I have a son that graduated in 2019, a son that's a current senior, and then a daughter that is a junior. And I am also an alum, class of 1988.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you today. My name is Keith Collar. I'm from Melrose. Our daughter, Lindsay, is a sophomore here at Bishop Fenwick. Her brother is a graduate of the class of 2012. So we've been grateful to be part of this community for almost a decade, and grateful to all the schools doing to keep our students safe and learning during these tough times.
Hi, my name's Wendy Pignoni. We live in Stoneham, and my son, Nicholas, graduated from Bishop Fenwick in 2019. And I currently have my daughter Alex is here as a senior.
Well, thank you. And we were talking just before we came on about, it wasn't that long ago when these parents were right where you are. making a decision about which high school was best for their sons and daughters. The years passed so quickly, so I'm going to ask each of them, and I'll start with Wendy on my left. Maybe a reason why you chose Bishop Fenwick, or something that's been most meaningful to you, most important for you, something that maybe really represents the Fenwick family, perhaps an experience or an event or something that's been great about Fenwick for you. So Wendy, I'll start.
I think that the best thing about Fenwick is, for both my kids, have been the sense of that they can find their self and they can fit at Fenwick. My two kids couldn't be more different in terms, one, my son was an athlete, and my daughter, she's captain of the cheerleading squad, but she also is involved in SAC, and academically they have been, challenged here at Fenwick. But I think that the best thing about it is that they found their fit and were very successful at that.
So I was thinking back to being at the open house when Lindsay was an 8th grader, and remember leaving here and her being able to see herself here. And now, kind of a year plus later, thinking about how she's grown as a student, as a volleyball player, as a young adult. And I think that the Bishop Fenwick community has had a great impact on that. And you were talking about events and the recent back to school night where the faculty talk about their expectations for our children, the caring for them, wanting them a well-rounded experience, being available to them. So seeing that all come together has been quite gratifying.
I think also Fenwick is a really special place because it really feels like a family, and there's something comforting about sending your children here. And I've never felt as if my children were just a number. The staff and faculty know them by name, they know the parents by name, they check in on them, and there's something very comfortable and really feels safe to send them here. And so I'm really grateful that they're in a place where I felt safe when I was here, and I know that there's the folks watching out for them.
I would have to 100% agree with that statement as well. Safe is an understatement. Comfortable. I think getting the kids involved with activities during school, after school, before school, there's many opportunities, whether it be sports, student government, or what have you. I think the relationships that they form with students and teachers and faculty is outstanding, and it's been a great fit for both my children. Thank you.
Sitting in your shoes a few years back, we attended the open house, and it was instant that my family found that Fenwick was the right fit for them. Fenwick gave them an opportunity to step outside of their comfort zone and try new things that they weren't, they just didn't have the experience in up until then. They both ventured off into new sports with cheer and volleyball, and the coaches and the teachers and all of the administration really allowed them to just completely step outside of their comfort zone and be their best self that they can be in academics, in sports and social and everything else. It's really a great family-oriented place to call home.
So I'm probably going to repeat a lot of what they said, but I'm the youngest of 10 children, and out of those 10 kids, 7 of us graduated from Fenwick. So for me, Fenwick was a no-brainer. I enjoyed coming here. I definitely felt the family-type atmosphere that Fenwick has to offer. You definitely do not feel like a number. People know who you are, and they watch out for your success. For my son, when he got here, Steve Driscoll was his mentor when he got here, and that was a big part of him coming here. And he quickly learned that it's not just Steve Driscoll; it's every person that works here that cares about the kids that go here. So it's a good thing for him.
Well, thank you, and I love especially what I heard Aaron and Tracy in particular about this notion of safety, right? We hear so much about safety today, physical safety, our own health and safety, but there's a deeper underlying safety, that comes with being part of the Fenwick family. It is, as you said, the freedom to be who you are, and the safety that you feel and being confident and taking risks. So one of the many reasons why I think Fenwick is worth it, you at home knowing that Catholic education is a significant sacrifice. And so one of the questions always is, is it worth it? And so I'm going to ask our parents, what has been worth it, for you? Why has it been worth it to choose Bishop Fenwick? And then another question that comes up with parents many times is, we want our students to thrive and flourish, and we want them to be happy, right? We want them to be, as we would say at Fenwick, stretched but not stressed, and really having to achieve that balance. So maybe you could talk about how you've seen that kind of balance in your own house with one of your own children, or a little bit about why Fenwick is worth it. And I'll start all the way down with Kevin.
Well, for me, I understand that it's not cheap to come to a private school, but they also understand that here at Fenwick. So in my experience, they were very generous as far as they take into account what you can do and what's doable for you, and not to stretch you too thin. So for me, it's been very, very worth it because the integrity, the attitude here, the lessons they teach you here have been priceless.
Thank you. Tracy.
Well, I'd like to just speak on the stretching the students. Fenwick does stretch the students, and they stretch them to what they're capable of. And each and every teacher and every member of the faculty, whether it be guidance, whether it be your principal or your president, they take interest in each and every student and make sure that they are stretched to the capacity before they would break, right? They're not going to allow anyone to break here. But you really do have the opportunity to grow academically, spiritually, and you're ready to take that next step into college once you leave here. We're very grateful.
Great.
I would definitely have to say the Fenwick experience has a tremendous amount of value. The Catholic school experience, we came from St. Mary's of Danvers, both my children, and to see how they are stretched to the full potential. My daughter, mostly honors classes, and is pushed tremendously, but she's just learned how to balance her time with sports and academics, and now I'm seeing it with my son. Michael's a freshman, and the teachers just know how to handle each child individually and to get their full potential. So it really comes back to the whole experience has a tremendous amount of value, whether it be academics, sports, all the activities. And then everybody's here for the right reasons. Everybody that sends their children here are here to accomplish the same goals. So I think that is huge, that we're all in it together as a team, parents, students, faculty, and we all work together to achieve the same goals, which we all want the best from our children. And I really think it comes down to a great value sending your children to Fenwick. Thank you.
I think there's no doubt that for a lot of us, there's some financial sacrifices that come with sending your children to private school. But for us, it was more than just financial. My kids landed in a place that offered them so many opportunities and so many other experiences, and a faculty that just cares about them so much. And so my children are involved in a lot of sports programs here, and it's so nice to show up at a game and see faculty. They are cheering them on and supporting them, not only in the classroom, but on the court or on the field. And so there's just something special about it feels like that sacrifice is even more worth it to be in a place like this.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of that. I mean, what we appreciate is the school's investment in Lindsay's very well-rounded growth. So her learning, which in this year is taking on new modalities and responsibility for her learning as an athlete, in art, which was something that was very important to her coming here. I know as she goes on, the school's commitment to service, which is so important. So I think that investment in her success is really going to prepare her for whatever she wants to do 2 years from now.
Great.
I really do feel like the investment that you make when you send your child to Bishop Fenwick is worth it, especially today in the day of virtual learning. Fenwick faculty and staff and the students, I mean, I think the kids had 1 or 2 days off during this whole pandemic. And they just, I mean, they really stepped it up. They didn't, the students, I feel, didn't have any lack of time where their academics was concerned, you know, and then coming back this fall where they do their every other day. And I just think that Fenwick really had a handle on that. And it's, you know, kudos to the faculty and the staff for that. So I think that the investment is 100% worth it.
Great, thank you. Well, wherever you want to go, you want to know that you're in good company. You want to end up in good company. And I can say without reservation and hesitation, you choose Fenwick, you're going to be in good company, because the Fenwick family is made up of extraordinary families. So I'm going to ask you one more question, because we have another minute before we go. I asked our students when we were doing the interviews for our video, name, you know, 2 words that you'd use to describe teachers. So I'm going to ask you to pick 2 words to describe your experience of Fenwick. 2 words to describe your family's experience of Fenwick. And Erin, since you're an alum and the mother of 2, I'm going to put you on the spot first. 2 words to describe Fenwick for you, and we'll go to your right.
I think welcoming and inclusive.
I would say caring and dedicated.
I would say committed and family.
Family. Kevin.
Oh, me? Inclusive was a great one, and accountable.
Dedicated and accountable.
Thank you.
I was going to say dedicated and involved.
Great. And those are the kind of words that we hear throughout our school. So we thank you for being with us this afternoon. We know that you'll have questions as you go through the process, so please feel free to stay in contact with us. Keep an eye out for future communications that will follow up with you. Part of that is going to be an invitation to Fridays at Fenwick, which you can sign up for on our website. Part of that will include also real live tours here at Fenwick, most afternoons at 3 o'clock after school. So please continue to be part of the process of this conversation and know that we're happy to engage in it with you. And finally, today is the birthday of Pablo Picasso, famed artist. And he said the purpose of art is washing away the dust of daily life from our souls. Maybe like you, I feel sometimes that the circumstances in which we live have added additional layers of dust to us. I hope that spending time with us this afternoon has perhaps helped remove and washed away some of those layers of dust, filled you with hope, and given you a glimpse of our Fenwick family. So may you be inspired this day, and may you know that you belong right here at Bishop Fenwick. Have a great afternoon. Take care.